understandable, engaging. What's even on the curriculum, right?
Mm.
Is it just a list of matun without, like you said, without making it relevant, and things like that? So definitely pedagogy, and then the applied pedagogy. How are you adapting teaching and planning and assessing for learning and the professional development in the faculties? All that I think is very, that is going to fall under a major part of ensuring that the Islamic, I'm just again trying to map it in my mind. So, for my four things that I just laid out, like the mapping the delivery of the curriculum, the preservation, the transmission of, the Islamic knowledge and culture, that can only come via robust, sort of a robust method of education, so the pedagogy and things like that. So yeah, I would
That comes
agree.
from, that,
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying, Dr. Safaruk, is that people who've been exposed to, it's really sad that we still have to talk about this divide between both worlds, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
still at a
yeah.
stage where we're talking about both worlds. I
Shouldn't
mean, when
be.
you read our ulama carefully, I mean, in fiqh, you find the natural sciences.
Yes.
And when they talk about water, when they become najasa, it's like this is how they understood the world and what makes it najasa, the whole thing about 10 by 10. That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's just natural observation. You're just observing. Does that mean that we have to do it that way? No. We now have theories that can help us understand things better. So what we really need is that we need we need people who transcend these binaries or these fields that are just divided, and they can go into madrasa settings and help them. But also people from the madrasa setting can leave, not leave, but kind of take time out and go into other settings and learn other sciences.
But don't a lot of the madrasas, they have Arabic, Urdu, whatever, Farsi, but they have all the Islamic sciences like Aqidah, Quran, Hadith, Fiqh, Sirah, Islamic history, and they also have empirical sciences and skills, right? Don't a lot of madrasa just have it as part of the curriculum, or
I mean, they
is
teach
it
at
maths,
GCSE
physics?
level,
All
right?
right, okay.
Yeah, they'll teach at GCS level, maybe as an A level, but in terms of like doing some takhassus,
Mm.
going into some, doing a physics degree or a degree in
Right, okay.
like economics. I have a degree in economics.
You do in
Fundamentally
finance, yeah.
changed the way I think about muamalat. I mean, muamalat is very, very important to understand. And you have people like Mufti Faraz, mashallah, and people like that who are doing amazing work in that field as a madrasa graduate, someone who's very gifted and very, very talented, among others. Um, but when I did my degree in economics, it helped me so much because I got to understand not only the capitalist ribawi system, interest-based system, but I also got to understand futures, options, how the system works. I also got to understand the politics and the perils of these systems. I understood how monetary policy works, how fiscal policy works, how these systems are deeply embedded with military industrial complex, all this other stuff. You
Mm.
get to read it, you get to see a really, a really huge system, and then you're trying as a Muslim to work out, okay, where do we go from here? And then how does it help people? When people come to you, Dr. Safaruk, for like issues around, can I get a house or mortgage?
Mm. Mm.
And they're living just below the poverty line, right? And they have issues with, their in-laws,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and oh, what are you going to say to them? Just carry on, just suck it up,
Mm.
like how. So this is when religion really becomes alive, because you have to then give them solutions and try and help them. Otherwise, if people just see it as a sort of dead tradition, it doesn't speak to their concerns.
But it's funny when the British came in the subcontinent, they in a way they destroyed the Iftar institution, um, because they wanted to make the application of law so procedural. Whereas Iftar was the way the ulama did it was, real issues were being addressed through the fatwa
Yes.
production. And once you take that away, once you take ulama out of that role, you no longer see Islam as that kind of vital, sort of solution providing,
Yeah.
deen, as it were, isn't it? Because you're now trying to the colonial apparatus is now trying to force a kind of a law from above, but it's stripping the role of the ulama and the mufti out of this role. So Islam no longer becomes a living, vital the interaction between Islamic law and the individual is no longer a vital dynamic thing. Can you see? So
Yeah.
it's interesting that, I'll just remember that point based on the point you mentioned, that to take that out now, that relevance,